Imam C, you may continue, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنون إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you very much, Imam C. Council, are we ready to proceed with today's proceedings? Is a witness here? Oh, the witness is on the screen. Please go ahead. Yes, the floor is yours.
Yes,
Please,
Mr.
Council.
Chairman, we are ready to proceed. The witness is overseas, and we are conducting these proceedings through Skype. And I would hand over to my colleague, Ms. Maria Masingate, to lead this witness. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. Witness. May I please ask if you have the Quran by your side?
Yes, I do.
Can you lift the Quran so that the usher will administer the oath?
I, Tijan Toure,
I, Tijan Toure,
swear that I'll speak the truth,
swear that I'll speak the truth,
the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me
Mr.
God.
Chair, we could barely hear him through the microphone. May I ask that the witness speaks directly into the microphone and that he be sworn in again for the hearing and satisfaction of all commissioners that he has taken the oath.
Thank you. Usher, can you please repeat the oath with the witness?
I, Tijan Toure,
I, Tijan Toure,
swear that I'll speak the truth,
swear that I'll speak the truth,
the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Mr. Chair, while we are ready to proceed, I think that the audio feed coming in is still barely audible, and it would be difficult for many of us to follow what the witness is saying. And it is absolutely critical that we know or hear what the witness is saying. So perhaps may I ask that the technicians look into this again? Or may I advise Mr. Toure to speak closer to the microphone and a bit louder? If you could increase your voice, perhaps that would be helpful. Could you,
All right,
could you try that,
I'll do
please?
that. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Could you have your earpiece on back, please?
All right, I'll try that.
Can you hear us, Mr. Toure? Could you say something? Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, but we cannot hear you, Mr. Toure. I think we cannot hear anything you're saying, unfortunately.
My earpieces are all right, and I can hear you properly, loud and clear.
We can't hear anything. I'm sorry, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Council, I hear people watching online can hear the witness. We can't hear the witness from outside here. So there must be an issue.
A technical problem.
Right,
yes.
inside our hall. That's what I just said. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, perhaps I propose that we stand down for 10 minutes. All right. I wonder how many times you heard yourself. It's not good. It's simply not good.
Hel-
Hello, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1
Hello,
2 3
I can hear you.
1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Okay, can you say something?
Hello, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Can you say something?
Hello. I can hear you.
Can you say
I can
something
hear
now?
you. Yes, I can hear you loud and clear here. It's clear here. I can hear you. Hello? I can hear you. 1 2 3. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? I can hear you. Hello?
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 I can hear you. Yes, hello? One,
Hello?
two, three. Can you? Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
No, we're not getting any audio feed from you.
So why not I take the mic off? The headphone off.
Hello?
Hello? What if I take the headphone off? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? I can hear you. Hello? 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 I can hear you.
He's hearing us now from the.
Yeah, but the home is.
The home.
Asha, check it, test.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
No, my back on it.
I can hear you.
No, if I go. Okay.
Asha, now?
No.
Hello? I can hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
But now, are we
Can I-
using the headphones or what?
Yes, you hear the headphones.
Hello? Yeah, I've got my
Hello,
headphones on.
hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
But you'd have to speak up in the microphone for me to hear you.
Yes, that's a microphone here. Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's very low.
Hello?
It's very low. Check the channel. No, it's very low. I can hear him. It's very low.
Mayoka volume dafa echo.
Hello?
No, you can volume it still. You can volume it.
I can try my wife's headphone and see if that will work. But I don't think there's any fault with this one.
Could you please remove your headphone and talk directly your laptop and see?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Oh, yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you speak up a bit?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
And I'm shouting.
So good.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
I'm sorry, Mr. Ture. I know you can hear us, but unfortunately we can't hear you. So it's like we solve one problem, another one emerges.
Oh. I'm sorry it's not from my end here, because I can hear you.
Yeah, Mariga?
Hello?
Okay.
I can hear
Okay.
you.
I use my headphone. Di Mariga?
I can hear you.
Moment. Check the headphone. Are you hearing better? But you know, I cannot be talking and listen, but I want to listen. Let somebody listen so that we can continue talking. Okay.
I can hear you.
lead commissioner.
Again?
Hello?
Hello? Can you say again?
Hello? Hello? I can hear
I
you.
can't hear anything, unfortunately.
Council, lead council, can you hear the lead council? Can you hear the lead council? Lead council. Lead council. Lead council, can you hear the witness, please? Can you hear the witness?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Put your mic. Can you hear the witness?
No, I can't.
Hello?
You can't hear.
Yes, and
Hello?
even talking to you now, there's so much noise
You are
in the
hearing. Ask him whether
microphone.
he's hearing.
Sorry, in the earpiece.
The witness
There's too much hissing noise in the ear.
is there. Reduce the volume. It's coming. Wow, where can you hear? I'm hearing the lead council and you.
But there is so much noise. There is so much noise.
think you
I mean,
reduce the
coming
volume.
through the
Reduce the volume.
earpiece.
Okay.
So much noise.
Okay, Bakary. Waaw council bi nekkul di dégg Skype bi.
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hello?
Now I can
You can hear.
now I can hear the witness, but I'm hearing myself.
Okay,
two,
reduce the
three
volume.
times.
Hello?
It's confusing.
volume.
It's annoying.
Reduce the volume of your receiver. No, the receiver.
This one.
Yes. The volume.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, the
I
witness.
can hear you.
You can hear me
I hear
clear.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we can proceed now. I think we can proceed now. I can hear myself a second time, but with one one of the speakers out of my ear, I think I am able to manage, but it's still uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
What are your names?
Tijan Toure. Mr. Tijan Toure.
Where do you live?
I live in the United Kingdom.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Mr.
very
Chairman.
good try.
Say again?
You ready? Shall we go? Okay, Mr. Toure, my apologies, really. You've been up for quite some time. Our guys here have been busy yesterday and sometime today. For some reason, we're not able to get it all okay. But let's give it a try. And the council, you may proceed with your questioning or exchange.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we will go back to taking the oath because the voice was not quite audible when he took the oath. Kambi?
I, Tijan Toure,
I, Tijan Toure,
swear that I'll speak the truth,
swear that I'll speak the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Before we proceed into the questioning, I'd just like to introduce myself to you again. My name is Mariama Singate, and I'll be questioning you on behalf of the Commission. Just to go over a few house rules. Like, as of now, we have a little bit of technical issues, so I request that you speak slowly and you speak into the mic. And if you can't hear me, just indicate by raising your thumb. To go over what we'll cover today, I'll ask you a few background questions as to your date of birth, education, career. Then we'll move on to issues like factors that influenced the coup, your recollection of the 22nd July coup, your personal experience and what happened to you, and finally we'll deal with the issue of institutional reforms.
All right.
Okay. So can you please tell us your name?
My name is Mr. Tijan Toure.
What is your date of birth?
15 December 1966.
Where do you live?
I live in the United Kingdom.
Can you give us a brief background of your education?
Well, I started school in 1973 in Kaur, and then to Basse shortly after Kaur. That could have been 74, 75 to Basse. Then after a few years in Basse, a couple of years, that's like 1 or 2 years, then I came back to Banjul. Then I was at St. Augustine's Primary School, commonly known as Roman, at Hagan Street. It was then a primary school. Upstairs and downstairs was secondary school. Then later the primary school was then moved to Anglesey Street at St. Joseph Primary School.
Hello, Mr. Witness, can you hear me? Hello? Mr. Chairman, I think we have a little technical issue here. It's like he's gone offline.
I'm not sure now what guidance to give you. We're in the hands of the technicians again. Shall we wait a little bit? Mr. Toure, are you back on? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you again.
Splendid. Council, continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on, after your secondary education, what did you do?
In 1986, because after my secondary school, I went back to Basse to work with my brother. Doing some trading there. He was a trader known as Saul Othman. And then until 1986, I joined the Gambia Gendarmerie as a recruit.
Where did you go to do your secondary education?
In Banjul. That was in Banjul. As I said, I concluded at St. Augustine's Secondary School, known as Roman.
Thank you very much. You mentioned that you joined the service. What year did you join the service, and which service did you join?
I joined the then Gambia Gendarmerie in 1986.
At what rank were you after the training?
I was given a corporal rank shortly after my training.
Can you please give us a bit of a structure of the Gendarmerie at that time?
The then Gendarmerie was, the concept of a Gendarmerie is like a French concept, which means Zen means a man, Mary like a Gendarmerie, a man with an armed man, known in English like the military police. So the Gendarmerie was like introduced shortly or during the confederation between Gambia and Senegal. We had some Senegalese instructors from Senegal, and then who were training the Gambians as gendarmes. And yes, so this is the training that I had in 1986, but people were already there as gendarmes. That was in the first batch. And but in 1986, yes, I joined the Gendarmerie, and during my training, the Ministry of Defense, the then Ministry of Defense initiated the idea of creating what is called a crack unit. A crack unit is a unit that was to do an intensive training to able to protect the Gambia in case of any attack or internal problems like peacekeeping.
Okay, Mr.
So
Ture,
the crack.
we'll get to that point. Now, can we please move on to another topic? So, after your training at the gendarmerie, where were you attached?
I was still at the Gendarmerie camp doing some gendarme duties. That is like going to protect some government buildings, central bank, GPMB, other government institutions. This was part of the role of the Gendarmerie, yes, but still being part of the crack unit there in the camp.
Mr. Ture, can you please position yourself properly because we are not getting your entire frame? Okay, that's better.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. So, go on.
Okay, can you recall members of your batchmate at the time you joined the gendarmerie?
Yes, Lantombong Tamba was my batchmate. One Ablai Jalo was my batchmate. Dembanjai, Adam Adiba, who's now in the US, and Karafamane, and Sadibu Haidara. Lots of them. It's like we were 40 in number. We are 40 in number. So, and it's been a long time. If I was to recall, if I have to think within a couple of minutes, then I'll able to go by their names. But yes, these are the names that I can easily tell you. Also, yeah, I can remember these names. Yeah.
Can you tell us who the commander of the gendarmerie was at that time?
The commander was General Pate Seka, who was later a minister of Interior for Senegal. And we have the commander of the training school as Captain Gay Faye. These were the Senegalese instructors. And then later, when we had, at that time, one Ibrahim Chongan was in France doing a course there. We were told about him. So he came during our training, but based on the good results he achieved during his training, and examinations in France, and this was for all the French-speaking countries like France, Belgium, Morocco, Mauritania, Senegal. They all sent their officers there, and I believe Ibrahim Chongan became second or third position during those examinations. That made the commander of the Gendarmerie to be very, very proud of him, and then asked him he was appointed to be the officer commanding the training school. So we were just few months during our training when he came, and he took over the school, and then we had intensive training with him. He brought all the ideas and concept of Gendarmerie to us, which make us to be what we are.
While at the gendarmerie, did you receive any specialized training?
Yes. When the Minister of Defense initiated the idea of crack unit and getting some Gambians, to be bodyguards ready for the Statehouse, because at that time we had the Senegalese as bodyguards, and then we were asked, there was an examination, like a very intensive training, which we had an examination that they needed 11 of us as, to take this exam, to pass this examination and to be trained as, bodyguards. So there was a gym at Carnifin South those days, run by one Amina Fall, who studied flexibility and a lot of physical training as a woman in America. So she had a gym there. So a contract was given to her through the Ministry of Defense, that the 11 people that passed this examination should be going there for more training. And then we had a Senegalese instructor who was a black belt, who also came to train us for, self-defense and a lot of other training in connection to bodyguard training.
Can you recall the year this training took place?
It must have been around 88, 89, around that time. Yes, I think so, yes. Yes, because the crack unit started shortly after our training. That was in 87. Then, yes, I would say 87, 88, if I can remember. I didn't note all these things down, but yes, based on the period of time we had our training and the time, we had the crack unit training, and the same time we had our exams to be elected and to be sent to Carnifin South for our bodyguard training. Yes.
Can you recall the names of your colleagues that went through this training with you?
Yes, myself, Lantombong Tamba, Demba Njai, Adama Diba, and Yaya Jamme was there, but he wasn't a student, but he always go with us, and he was also doing the same training with us, but not as a trainee, but he was an instructor at the training school at that time. And yes, these are the few I can remember. Yeah.
Now, after the training, did your rank change in the gendarmerie?
No, the ranks, we were not promoted after the training, because those days they don't just give you rank like that, especially with the Senegalese. They were training, and to be a corporal, to be a sergeant, which should have been my next promotion. You have to undergo certain examinations and certain tests, probably not even to be done in the Gambia, but in Dhaka. But with our then commander, Chongan, he was trying to set some programs that will stop the Gambia government sending, officers to Senegal to be doing the training there, but in the Gambia, because he had all that package in hand. But for some reasons, it didn't happen. So I was still a corporal.
Was this training going on at the time when the Senegambian Confederation was still on?
Yes, it was still on, and this training was still going on. And we passed out, we finished that training, whilst the Senegambia Confederation was still on. So we went back to barracks, and then our first test, sort of a test I will call it, that was a mission that to be executed, is when we had this Kontekunda Niji crisis. in somewhere in Badibu. So, because there was a camp in Farafenye, but the moment this happened, the Ministry of Defense, got in touch with the commander, who also asked Chongan to send us there. So we went there and then took over and stabilized the whole situation there. Everything, the moment we got there, because we are well trained for what we are doing, so everything was tranquilized within a day. So we stayed at the Farafenye barracks till we've been asked to go back to Fajara barracks. Yes.
So given what you've just said, it is safe to say that the training was a success, right?
Yes, but thanks to our then commander, Chongan. I understood that he's in the United Kingdom, but I don't know where, but he's in the United Kingdom on exile at that time. Maybe he's back to the Gambia.
So what else did you do after the training?
Well, after the training, at one time, I understood that the Senegalese, on one Friday, we had a detailed parade, and they picked some men to go to the to take over from the Senegalese. It was around prayer times. I understood that Sadauda was about to go to the mosque, and because we also had the outriders, that's the escort team, who were also trained. I won't mention that because that has nothing to do with me, but they were also trained as escorts with motorcycles that the government bought. That some Gambians were trained by some Germans, and who were from Germany. It was a package. Then they went to take over. They took over from the Senegalese, and then some Gambians, part of our unit, the crack unit, were sent to the Statehouse as bodyguards. But I was not sent to the Statehouse. I was still at the barracks.
For how long were you at the barracks?
At least 1 year. The first attempt, I think I was about to be, there was 2 attempts that one Lieutenant Suare, who was my then commander, because after our training, we've been sent to different units, and I was under Lieutenant Suare. I can remember one afternoon, they selected the people who were supposed to go to the Statehouse. I was part of them, and Lieutenant Suare was passing by. He saw me, and then he asked, Mr. Tijan, what are you doing in that truck? I said, we're going to the Statehouse. He said, no, you're not going. I still need you here. That was a very sad day for me, because everybody was looking forward to go there, and I know the training I had, that I was supposed to be there, and I've spent another year at the Statehouse, at the Fajara barracks, until when Press Jan came as officer commanding the gendarmerie, but it was at that time changed to be the tactical support group, because they changed the gendarmerie to be under the Ministry of Interior. So the name was changed shortly after the Confederation. So President saw my file as the commander, and then he asked about me, why is my file still there? And he was told that because of I'm still in the camp. And then this was one afternoon, I was marched to the commander's office. He asked, why didn't I go to the Statehouse? My file shouldn't be here. I've been recommended 2 years ago to be at the Statehouse. And I said, sir, I don't know. And then he said, before 5 o'clock, I don't want to see you in this camp. Pack up and report to the Statehouse. And this is how I got myself ready and went to the Statehouse. And I went there around 7 p.m. and around 10 o'clock, the guard commander is not the commander of the Statehouse, but the commander of those on duty at the guard room. One guy we call him Sambu Grumble because he complains a lot. I don't know his first, but I know his first name is Sambu. And he asked me to go on duties, as a sentry. And I said to him, I've not been posted here as a sentry because the briefing I have from the commander of the camp said, he advised me when he called me he told me how to behave, that I've done very well, that being a bodyguard to the president, I have to meet all expectations, which I have done, so I have to keep it up. So he definitely told me that I'll be giving some money for my clothing and everything. That is the procedure as if someone is selected as a plainclothes officer. So I went there, and Sam Grumble asked me to go on sentry, and I said, no, I don't think I should be a sentry man. At that time, Yaya Jammeh was also at the Statehouse in the commander's office. He wasn't the commander. Tro Jaune was the commander. And he went and see Yaya Jammeh at the commander's office, because when Tro Jaune goes home, Yaya Jammeh goes there and sit there using the telephone, making calls, drinking attire. So he went there to report me that I've refused to go on sentry. And then when Yaya came to me, he said, why aren't you going on sentry? You've been instructed to go on sentry. Then for the training I had, I understand that before protecting an area, you have to know, you have to be aware of the structures around the area. If the area, you have to know the artificial structures and the structures that are just movable structures that are just been there, placed or not been placed there. You have to be familiar, to cut it short, you have to be familiar with the area. So I've told him that I've never been at the Statehouse. I've no clue of how it looks like. And it's dark now. I've never been briefed of what to do there and what to look out for. So obviously, I don't think it's right for me to go. And I then told him that I've been told that I should be a plainclothes officer, not a uniform officer. He said to me that what President does at the camp is his business, but President is not in charge of here. And for that, I'll prove to you that you're not going to be put in as a plainclothes officer. And they forced me to go on sentry. I wasn't happy, but I abide by that, what they said. Then I went. And I've been there for a while. I've been a uniform man guarding at the gate of the Statehouse for a long time, some years, till when Tro Jaune, Dembanjai, and others were sent to Nigeria to do the same training that I have done with my colleague as a crack unit. They were able to see how well Dembanjai has been doing, and then Dembanjai brought to the notice of Jaune that this is the same training that Tijan Toure has done.
Okay, Mr. Toure, I'd like to take you back on a few things that I'd like to clarify. So, who was the commander at that time in Statehouse?
Tro Jaune was. One Tro Jaune.
What was his rank?
He was a lieutenant. His senior, Yaya Jammeh, at that time, yes, but they were all the same rank. But Tro Jaune was first promoted well before Yaya Jammeh. And yes, Tro Jaune was the commander. At that time, Modnjai was the general commander, but he had some problems when he traveled with the president to the United Kingdom. It was the time he was caught with an arm which he hasn't declared to the customs, whilst in the UK. For that reason, he was arrested and detained, so he couldn't come back for a while. He was later released, but Tro Jaune took over.
Could you please give us a little structure of how the security of the Statehouse was?
Well, during the time of Tro Jaune, who was well aware of what he does, we had the sentry at the front gate, we had sentries at the #1 marina, we had sentries at the garden where the power plays golf. We had few there. We had two sentries also going around the house, the main structure of the Statehouse where Sadauda lives. And we had one on every corner, and this is what Jaune, has done at the State House as, officer commanding, because he was at that time in charge. So this is what, the security structure was. It was a tight security.
You mentioned that when you reported to the State House, you were taken as a sentry instead of a state guard. How long did you stay as a sentry?
Probably 1.5 years. Yeah.
So what happened after that?
After that, I think when Yaya Jammeh was moved out of the State House, I think so at that time, Trojaune came from training in Nigeria, and I was personally elected to be a plainclothes officer, and he called me in his office and said that I've been doing very well, and he had trust in me, and that I should do my best and do my job as expected. And he's now telling me that I should move to the plainclothes officer, and then I was given a check to cash for my clothing, and then at that time we had one Daba Marena also, who was our senior officer there. We also had Demanjai, part of the plainclothes officers. Daba Marena was from the NSS, and Demanjai was from the Gendarmerie side, and I became a plainclothes officer.
Do you know why Jammeh was moved out of the State House at that time?
Based on his attitude, I believe, and I once had a chat with, Daba Marena, when Yaya Jammeh was moved, and he told me that he's not trustworthy, and his attitude around the president is unacceptable. That I've got a lot of photographs where he was in uniform as a military police, but he wasn't a bodyguard. Bodyguard, there are some guards who are in uniform, other guards are in plainclothes. Everyone who works at the State House as a security could call himself a bodyguard, and then you have the plainclothes officers, that's a close protection. So Yaya Jammeh was, based on the intelligence from the NSS, I believe he was removed from the State House based on that. But I don't know exactly what they had on him.
What was his attitude like? You said based on his attitude. So what attitude are you referring to?
The way he speaks, he swears a lot, and he doesn't respect any officers, and he doesn't take orders from anyone who's senior to him. And yes, he works like a bandit, sort of. Yeah.
Earlier you had also mentioned that Yaya Jammeh was part of the training you did with the crack unit, and also you met him at State House. So how does he act towards his seniors?
Well, he was a bandit, sort of. He doesn't take orders. And he was like, he hated the Senegalese. He hated them. He doesn't like them at all. For some reasons, I don't know, but he doesn't like them. And I know that they were able to pick this up. And this is before I came to the State House. I can remember once a Senegalese with his motorbike from the State House came to see the officer commanding the training school, the then officer, Captain Gay Faye. So the motorbike was parked around there because Yaya Jammeh was part of those who were elected to do the motorbike training. So he was part of it. So he went, start looking at this bike, looking at the throttles, looking at the, checking this bike, more or less about to sit on it. And then this Senegalese guy went to him and said, Sergeant, excuse me, you can't be doing this, don't touch it. And Yaya Jammeh swore very bad, used a very foul language against him, telling him that this belongs to my country, not your country. And this guy reported this. For some reason, nothing was done about it, but I witnessed this. And yeah, I mean, he was a radical, definitely.
Moving on, you mentioned that you were moved to the guard unit. Who were you guarding at that time?
Well, the State House at the guard unit was the, do you mean when I was at the State House?
Yes, please.
Yes, there was the president and his family and the structures within the State House.
What was your normal day like at the State House?
Was all right. It was all right. I've got my colleagues there. It was nice. Everybody was happy. And yes, things were done properly because during the day, Trojane is there who everybody respected, everybody likes. And this is one of the regrets I always say to myself. I know if that man was still at the State House during the time of the coup, what happened there wouldn't have happened, and Sadauda would have still be a president because we all had confidence on that man. Whenever he enters the State House, everything goes to normal without him saying nothing because he is a straightforward person. You have nothing to underrate him with. And yes, like he was a very strong person that put the men together. So definitely, yes. I mean, and at one point, I was very happy to live with him at the same building because I wasn't living there when I was first taken to the State House. You know, I mean, I had the choice to either live at the barracks or to live at, the State House accommodations that were given to us by this, by the Presidential Guard commander that was initiated by Trojano. So we have some residents around. But I used to live at my, private accommodation that I had there. So everything was all right. Everybody was happy. We were very proud and very tidy because for one to be tidy, you have to look at how tidy your commander was. And tidiness was something that was paramount. Everybody have to be clean and neat and got this strong gendarmerie character and behavior that we had.
Can you recall the time of the year where you were taken to the State Guard unit?
89. Yes. This was the time, around 1988.
Can you take us through your activities of the day as a State Guard?
So, whilst I was in uniform, what we do is sentries where there are some things that I can tell, which is a military way of protecting or guiding, a VIP or presidential guard, I call it. The number of hours we stay on guard, I can't disclose that. As a soldier, I'm not more a soldier, but once a soldier, always a soldier. There are certain things that the way we walk and the way we do it, or the number of hours we spend there, I can't tell you that. I'm sorry, but I will say that whilst on sentry, we will do our duties for the number of hours we are supposed to do, and then we'll be replaced by our colleagues who then will go and rest in the guard room when Trojane is in our activities to go out. Even the guard commander will dare not to allow the sentries just to start going out in town, doing whatever you like in town. No, until in the evening when he goes home is when the card is away, the mice will play. We start this when all permissions are granted because Jaune is not around. So yeah, this is it. We are very happy. We are very proud, and yeah, This is our activity, playing draft, reading your books, and yeah, and goes for road running with Rojawne, which was a compulsory thing that you have to do. You'll be in trouble if you miss that. Yeah, this was our activities. If you are on off, you are on off. Then you do what you want to do, as long as it's all good and legal. You're okay. But yes, just like a normal soldier.
So aside from the State Guard duties, did you have any other corresponding duties?
No, within the State House, no. As a State Guard, all your duties were as a State Guard. Until as a bodyguard, plainclothes officer, then it's different. Then when I was elected to be a plainclothes officer, because this guard thing I'm talking about is only to do as a physical guard, that people will see you in your uniform. But as a plainclothes officer, we had our office within the building of the president, and our activities there were to look after the programs of the president that was given to us by the commander, who will pass it to the plainclothes officer in charge of the plainclothes, like the senior man, yeah, and then who will tell us the activities of the family, like if the pa is going out, if Lady Chillen is going out, or if Lady Jamie is going out, or the kids are going out. It's all there. So at one point, based on my activities and the good job I was doing and the trust they had for me from one Daba Marena, he elected me to be the clerk to the plainclothes. So when the order comes in to say that, Sir Dawda wants to go here, he's going to visit this place, they'll tell me the number of men they want there, then I will elect the number of men, the advance party, those going there and those going with the convoy. Then the physical guard unit will be in charge of the other guards. But the plainclothes, I take orders from Marena, who will then tell me, the number of men he wants there, and then those to be on advance and those going with the convoy. And if the kids also were meant to go to school, that is all been arranged by me, because I know that between Monday and Friday, the kids should go to school. So those on duties will get ready in the morning and take the family to school. Those going to Marina, those going to Gambia High School will go to Gambia High School. If the lady is going out, one of the ladies or both of them on different times. So our activities were also as plainclothes officer to arrange the drivers and then escort the ladies, like we join their car. It was like a normal, simple life. So you see, if you don't know the Statehouse vehicle, you wouldn't know that that's Lady Chilel in that car or that's Lady Njeme in that car. There was nothing that you can like. There was nothing like abnormal that you can that can call someone's attention. No.
Okay, back to the point. When exactly did you become a plainclothes officer?
This is after spending 1.5 years from the date I moved to the Statehouse. I can say roughly around 1991. Yeah, around that time, around 91 or so, 1990, 1991, if I'm getting it right. Yeah, I think so, around that time. Because I've spent some years there before the coup.
Can you recall the number of men that were plainclothes officers at that time?
We had some from the NSS. We had some from our side, which is the Gendarmerie. Probably roughly 10 men, 10, 11 men. That's inclusive from the Gendarme and the Gendarmerie included, yeah, joined together, yeah, around that. But we had more Gendarmes than the NSS personnel.
Okay. During 1994, can you tell us what the atmosphere was like in the service?
1994, it was within the Statehouse, I can tell you. Yes, because things were a bit changed when Trojane was in there, definitely. That none of the men were happy with that to start with, and also, but there is nothing we can do about it, we could do about it. And things started going to normal, but the instructions or structures he left there, or orders he left there, carried on. We goes on duties, and everything was like more or less normal, but the spirit wasn't there, to be honest. The spirit, because we had Lantombong Tamba, he was one of the commanders. We had Kaba Bajo. At one point, he was, Trojaune's assistant. And so I believe when Jaune was posted as a commander at the Fajara barracks, who, Kababajo became a commander. And then we had Demanjai, who was also a senior officer, who was my colleague. Lantambong Tamba was also my colleague. So they were like the commanders there. So the spirit wasn't as it was when we had Trojaune there, because we were not like, I don't want to use the word scared, but I can also phrase it that way, that if he tells you to jump, you wouldn't deny to jump. You will ask him, how high do you want me to jump, sir? Because you will do it happily, because he respects everyone and give us our due and always fight for what we deserve. So if somebody is always on your case, trying to get everything good for you, you become in love with that person. You will come and like that person. You will want that person to definitely to be there for you. So when he was gone, then we got, don't get me wrong, Bajo was okay, he was all right, but he wasn't like, he wasn't like Trojaune.
Okay, going back to the issue at hand, you mentioned that Lang Tongbong was the commander at that time. What rank was he?
Yeah, he was one of the commanders. He was one of the commanders, but he wasn't the officer commanding, because, when the coup happened, yes, he was the officer commanding, because he was the most senior officer.
My question is, what rank was he at that time?
At that time, I can't remember. He must have been a lieutenant at that time. Yes.
Were you still at the State House at that time?
Yes, I was still a plainclothes officer, yes.
What position did you occupy then?
A close bodyguard to the president, Sir Dawda Jawara.
The close bodyguard to the president, did your functions change a bit?
Well, that was the known responsibility I was given, but I was also serving I'm sure my colleagues will be surprised to hear this, but if they add the dots, they will start wondering why at one point I've always been traveling with the president, and they started saying that this guy must have negotiated this kid of Kodugo every time he's going with the president. But this was the reason that I was like, an agent. I was a double agent. I was working also for the national security, the NSS. I've been approached by one Keba Sise. And yes, this is, I think one of the reasons why I can give. I know I was good at what I used to do. I was good at it. Everybody who knows me at that time knows that I was good at what I do. I'm not praising myself here, but there was one fateful Friday when Sir Dawda Jawara was at the mosque. We left the mosque as bodyguards surrounded him. people were waving at him, and somebody rose out of the crowd and came with a letter trying to give this to Sir Dawda. So I saw and implemented my training on that, got that letter, got this guy before he got the president. Everybody was surprised. Everybody was impressed by my my action there. And yes, I mean, it was shortly after that I've been approached by the Director General of the then NSS in his office. It was one evening to say that he wants me to work with the national security. This has been arranged and the president is aware, and I shouldn't disclose this to anyone, but anything going within the State House, within the Plainclothes, anything that he needs to know ASAP, that I should always report directly to him.
Okay. Going back on the issue, what does your job entail as a bodyguard to the president?
Well, that was to make sure of his safety and his family. Yes, whilst in the State House or outside the State House. Yes. This was my responsibility within the house. If there is any calls that comes in for him, which passes through our office, then we will pass the calls to him. That's different from the direct calls he can get, but we do get some calls for the president. We do get, and if any jobs is to be done in the building, it's the plainclothes officers who will go in there, and we monitor the cooks and the staffs within the State House. They were not treated like rebels or any other way, but it was part of our responsibility to make sure that his family is safe within the State House as close bodyguards. That includes his wife and children. Yes. And then the physical guard responsible for the security of the perimeter of the State House.
You mentioned that you used to travel with the president. Sometime in July 1994, did you have cause to be outside the jurisdiction?
Trip, I think, and I will say this
Mr.
was...
Ture, the sound went off a bit, so can you repeat what you said previously?
Yes, I did travel with the president in July before the coup. This was 3 weeks or so before the coup. That is, we were supposed to travel to Tunisia to attend the OAU summit in Tunisia. So we left the Gambia and then went to the United Kingdom, and we lived with Sir Dawda at his house, even though it was his house, but he loved to live at his house. So I lived with him for him getting ready for the summit, and then from there we went to Tunisia and then back to the United Kingdom for a few days, a week or so, and then back to the Gambia on the 24th of July.
Back to when you traveled with the president, how many of you traveled with the president at that time?
It was myself, Demba Njai, Kaba Bajo, and I've forgotten the name of this other officer who was from the NSS, and with Alpha Jallo, who was hotly to the president. Alpha Jallo.
What were the ranks of the people you traveled? Can you please mention the name of the person you previously mentioned and their rank?
Alpha Jallo was a corporal who was the oddly. I had the NSS man who was a director. This is how their ranks were put in. And we had Demba Njai, who was a lieutenant, We had Kaba Bajo, who was also a lieutenant, and you had myself there. I was a director with the national security as an agent, but with the Gambia Gendarmerie, I was a corporal. Yes, this was the team.
Did anything unusual happen while you were away with respect to the security?
Yes, I mean, 3 days or so before we were due to leave England, a call came in from Lantombong telling Kababajo and Dembanjai about an attempted coup going on in the Gambia. This is the information he sent, and I assume that information came from the National Security Service and then to the commander on the ground, which was Langtombong Tamba, who then passed the information to the 2 officers, senior officers we had with us in the UK. That was Kaba Bajo and Demanjai. And then one evening, I can remember this was 2 days before we were supposed to leave. I mean, I was with Demanjai and Kaba Bajo, drinking attire at Sadauda's residence, and Demanjai brought this up and said that, well, I mean, I think it's okay. I mean, if those on the ground should say that it's safe, then it's safe for us to go. And he was talking to Kaba Bajo. This is how I heard that it was okay. And then he said, yes, that's what Lang said. Lang said, everything has been foiled. I mean, it's okay. I mean, so it's okay for us to go. And I'm sure they've passed this information to Sadauda.
What was the full name, rank, and position of Lang Tongbong at that time?
He was a lieutenant. Mm-hmm.
How about its position?
He was, I mean, one of the commanders, but not officer commanding the State House, because both Demanjai and Kaba Bajo seniored him. But because he was a lieutenant, so he was a senior officer. So this is how the service works. If there are 3 officers or even 50 officers, if all the 49 travel, then the 51 will be in charge. The senior man on the ground will be in charge. Even if Lantombong wasn't there, if we had all the commanders, then they will look for, I mean, automatically the one who's on the ground, the senior officer on the ground, will take over responsibility as the officer commanding.
So am I correct to say that at that time, Lang Tongbong was the senior commanding officer at State House?
Yes.
Now, after receiving the news about a rumor of a coup, how did you react, you and the people near you?
Well, they must have, whatever their reaction was, it must have been digested before I get to know about it, because they were my seniors, so they must have discussed this prior to before we sat there and Dembanjai brought this up again. So it was like it was already digested by them, but I wasn't panicked because my doubt and fears were all cleared when they said that everything was okay. So it's just like being told that, for example, there was about to be an accident, but it didn't happen, so it was all good. So then, but if they say there's an accident, then you'll be concerned, you'll be worried about those involved, or there is about to be this, then you'll be more concerned. But if they say that this was about to happen, but it's all gone, it's all over, it's all good, then it was okay with me. I digested that well. Mm-hmm.
Everything was okay. Do I take it to mean that the issue was resolved?
According to my understanding, this is what was brought to us. This is what was brought to our notice at that time, that it was okay. Then, yeah, this is what I thought it was okay.
Who brought that to your notice, that everything was okay?
Well, according to the conversation that I had myself, Manjai, Alpha Jallo was there, and the other agent was there. His name is Bakari Dabo. I think so. His name was Bakari Dabo, I think. I'm not sure. Don't get me on that, but I'm not sure. But I think that was his name. He was an agent of the national security. He was also there. We were all like together when this was disclosed. Probably he must have known about it before I did, but he did. I mean, this is when this was disclosed to us. That is all okay. This was my first time to understand that there was about to be a coup, but it's all foiled. Yeah.
What did the group do with that information?
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure that must have been passed to the president, Sir Dauda. And yeah, but apart from that, I didn't have any clue about what went on.
Do you know how the president reacted to that news at that time?
No, I'm not sure. I didn't see that, but he's well experienced, and I'm sure he must have had lots of this type of information, but he relies on his security. Yeah, so if they should advise him that it's safe for him to go back, or it's safe that everything has been foiled, even if he has to be contacted by the Director General, of course, I am sure the Director General will not just call Demanjai and Langtom, and Kababajo, and to tell them that this is what's going on the ground. I'm sure that he must have also had, contacted Sir Dauda and advised him. This is just, I'm not sure, but I assume that he should have done that, and to give him assurance that definitely it's safe for him to come back.
Was this the first time that there was a rumor of a coup?
No. I think every government will get that because the intelligence is there on the ground, foiling many coups, some of which they do tell the president, some of which they might not want to tell the president, but they'll deal with it. It depends, but I don't think that it's every attempted or every rumor they get, they take it to the president's desk now. But we had few that happened that, we understood that Kuko was coming back at one point whilst I was at the Statehouse, one or twice, yeah. But it's been dealt with, and those information comes from the intelligence. Whether that was to the notice of the president, I don't know. So, and as a state guard, these are the things that we always expect, yeah.
Personally, apart from this rumor of a coup, did you previously hear of any rumor about any coup being plotted?
Not, apart from this one, apart from the previous ones that I have just mentioned, at that time, whilst I was in there, this was the only rumor which they said that was okay for the president to come back. Apart from that, no other one.
Did you remain in England after that news?
Yes, we spent another 48 hours or so, and then it was time for us to come on the 24th of July. Then we came, but Demanjai didn't come. He was unwell. So he was in hospital. He was hospitalized in Here Was Safe, where we used to live, and yeah. Then
Was the 21st of July your scheduled date for return to the Gambia?
Yes, I think so, yes. If it wasn't, but I know that we were not just told on that day, get up, we're going tomorrow. No. At least I knew that we were going 3 days before. And I understood that our trip was for 3 weeks. So I will say yes.
So can you please go further and tell us what happened upon your return?
So on arrival at the Gambia International, the Banjul International Airport, when we landed, when the aircraft landed, I mean, the doors were open, then I was the first one that came out of the flight. I stood at the top there, looked to see if everything was okay. And I've observed that everything was normal, because the things to look out for was if your colleagues are there, if they were all okay. The band, that's the Gambia National Army band or police band at that time, were there. The convoy was there. The outriders were there. The coaster, that was a coaster, we had like a mini bus that carries the physical guard, the rear guard, the front guards, and everything was like okay. So then I went back in and just went like that everything is okay. So then the president and the guards came out of the vehicle, out of the aircraft rather.
Can you please take us through the normal procedure that is observed when the president returns from a trip?
I mean, yes, normally there should be a guard of honor, and then he will be escorted to the State House. With that, I'm trying to recall, because normally if I was part of the bodyguards to go with him through the guard of honor, then I will able to definitely remember that yes, a guard of honor was done. But until now, I can't, because I received a shocking news. The moment I landed from the aircraft, when I came out of the aircraft, Lan Tombong told me that I must go and join the coaster. Yes, Lan Tombong, yes, told me that I should join the coaster. That is the physical guards, that is the guards on uniform. Yes, so I was shocked, but also at the same time, because something came at the back of my mind, that before I left for the summit, I mean, that was a force order, we call it, an order that came out that some bodyguards are to be changed from plainclothes officers to go back on physical guard officers. So this was on our notice board. So people's names were there. I went there. I empathized with one of my friends, 102. That was Babukar Bojang. I remember now he's in somewhere in Belgium. And Adam Adiba also was there. He's in the US. I just thought, boy, this is what happened. Let's just, you can bear with it. That's not end of the world. So we still got the same aim to serve the president. You are still within the State House. And then a day or two after that, Adam Adiba called me to say that, boy, have you looked at the notice board? I said, no. He said, your name has been added on the list of those being removed from the bodyguards unit to the plainclothes to the physical guard. I said, you must be kidding me. He said, seriously. Then I came across, because I used to live at the 6 Guns Batteries flat. That is the flat opposite the State House. And I was also given that not because of my rank, but because of my responsibility as an agent. So they wanted me very close there. So I lived there. So I came across and then saw my name written by hand, not being typed like the others, like the previous list. It's still the same list, but my name was there written with pen. So when I was told to join,
Langsombong telling you to join the coaster and you being part of the entourage that went with the president, was that unusual?
Yes, that wasn't usual, but unless if the person is dismissed, or like the reason that makes me to conclude to say that it's because of probably because of the fact that I have been added on that list to leave the and to leave the bodyguard plainclothes unit to the physical guards unit. That's the reason why I was asked to go to that coaster, because when I joined that minibus, all my other colleagues who've been removed from the plainclothes unit were there in uniform. So it was just well digested. And I expected that I was going to be removed there because my name was on the list. For some reason, I was asked to travel on that trip, even though my name was removed as a plainclothes officer. But because
Now,
of yeah,
was that the normal procedure?
for me to be asked to join the coaster, that wasn't a normal procedure. That wasn't right. I should have been allowed to escort the president back to the Statehouse until I resume duties before I will be asked to go back to my normal duties as a physical guard in uniform, but asking me from the airport to go to to go and join the coaster like the minibus, that wasn't right. But I mean, there's nothing else I would have done apart from to obey that, and just I cannot force myself on other things that my seniors asked me to do.
What time of the day was that when you arrived?
This was in the evening, late in the evening. I would say probably around 7. It was late in the evening. Yeah.
What happened to the president and others if you were asked to join the coaster?
So this is what I'm saying. I joined the coaster. So my boys were there. We were talking because the coaster was parked away from, it was within the airport there, but everything that has been going on was going on one side. But I was with my friends in there. They all missed me. We were talking and we were laughing. Boy, how is it there? How is this and that? So everything was like normal. So I wasn't like paying attention on that because that convoy was run by people who are already in their vehicles ready to escort the president. So I cannot recall definitely what was going on there. But all I know that is that when the convoy left, we followed as the rear guard as well, because I wasn't even armed. You know, it was even dangerous to put me in there. I should have been issued with an arm, and I was in plain clothes, no arm, because when we travel in Africa, we carry our arms, but when we travel in Europe, we don't. So I joined my colleagues with the coaster, so we went to the Statehouse, and then the president was ahead of me. The convoy left. We were at the rear, at the back of the convoy, probably, I would say 5 minutes after the convoy, like distance-wise. So, I mean, when I arrived at the Statehouse, I waited for the luggages to come because we don't carry our luggages ourselves. That was the responsibility of Alpha Jallo, who was the orderly. We do wait for our luggages. He does the immigration formalities and also the customs or luggages. So he brings our luggages at the airport. When he brought it there, then I picked mine and went home.
Let me take you back to the airport. Did you notice anything unusual at the airport when you arrived?
Yes, I mean, I knew that Yahya Jammeh was a military police officer, but military police do arm. He was in arm, and he's always been armed, but I can tell that he was in arm. I noticed that, and I didn't suspect anything abnormal because his name was not mentioned also when we had the coup or attempted coup. There was no name mentioned, so obviously I didn't think I just thought it was normal. For some reasons, maybe he's put it in his pocket or he's put it inside his trousers somehow, but he wasn't armed. Yeah.
Was Yahya Jammeh the only one that was not armed at the airport?
Yes, because I wasn't there looking at who is armed and who is not armed, but I was able to notice that he was in because he was somebody who likes showing off. So, and he knows me personally. We've done trainings together, as I said. So I've observed that he was in armed.
Do you realize later on why he was not armed?
Yes, on the following day, when these things happened, when the coup took place, or mutiny, I will call it. Yeah, definitely, because for a coup to happen, all barracks or people from different barracks would have been informed about it, and they would have known about it. But I will call it like wasn't a coup prepared, or a coup that was like ongoing, like to be in action. No, I don't know how they cook it over there at the barracks, because those at the Denton Bridge were caught by surprise. Those at Fajara barracks later joined when everything was taken. Not that they had agents they had their own people at Farafenya barracks, people in Kudang, and people in Fajara, or people within the State House. That's what is called a coup. So how I look at it was like sort of a mutiny, like soldiers, disgruntled soldiers coming to the State House, because if there was resistance, that would have able to tell and to confirm that definitely this was not planned or prepared, or people who are now involved were not informed. They are just they've been caught by surprise, and they got themselves in this. Yeah.
Let me take you back to the night of the 21st when you arrived at the State House. What happened?
It was just normal. Everything was normal. Sadauda went upstairs, and normally, if I was allowed to be a plainclothes, to carry on my duties and hand over, because normally the way things work and the things should have worked was that because we escorted the president out of the Gambia, it is our responsibility to take care of his security whilst away. If we take him out of the State House, it's our responsibility. And if we come back, we have to hand over the president back to the State House, and then it becomes a general responsibility of those within the guards or at the State House. But because I wasn't allowed to join the convoy, like to escort him as a plainclothes, I was just good at what I was doing. I was just good at it, to be honest. This is the fact. So whatever the reasons were, I don't know why I wasn't, but I thought it's because of my name being on that list, or I've been removed. So I just accepted it with good faith. So I didn't know what was going on. But when I got my luggages, I just took my suitcase, walked across, opened the gate, and went and see my family.
Where were you residing at that time?
At the Batteries flat, and the address officially at that time was the 6 Guns Batteries flat, opposite the State House. So I was on the last floor they gave me, facing the Ahmadian mosque that used to be there. So I had both my windows facing the State House and others facing the beach. And yeah.
Did you notice anything unusual that night, the night of the 21st?
Oh, no. I would have been told, and my colleagues were on duties at the State House. They would have been told, and Tro Jaune also live in that same building. Lang Tombong Tamba lives in that building, and there were 6 flats in there. That was myself, Lang Tombong. Yaya Jamme, at the time when he used to be at the State House, he used to live there as well. It was only senior officers. I was the most, junior officer in that building. 6 flats. So there was nothing up.
How about the following morning? Can you take us through what happened on the 22nd?
Yes, I went to the State House. I went through the main entrance, and to start checking about my uniforms and what's going to happen and all that. So when I went there, as I entered the State House, I saw Sehu Sabari, I saw a European who I later known to be the American ambassador, who came, and Saldara was in a vehicle with them, and we have few vehicles leaving the State House. But before all that, whilst I was with my colleagues, I understood that they say that there is a coup, and the soldiers are coming from Yundum barracks. They are marching on the streets. They are walking, coming towards Banjul. So the word coup was, in fact, I will say a mutiny, we call it. We say that, oh, they've started again. It's the soldiers. This is what we were talking about. But why Saldauda was in that vehicle with his family in few vehicles leaving the State House was something I was baffled about. And so then after when the vehicles left, I looked at their direction. They drove towards, Wellington Street. Then I also got out and then went to Wellington Street, and then you could tell, I was following. Then I got in a car, and then I went at the seaport there. So I realized there was a ship, a vessel that was a military vessel, and that's where Saldauda got into.
Did you, at any point while you were at this vessel, speak to any of the officials or family members that were there, or even the president himself?
No. My closeness to them has been seized. So if I was allowed to join him, and when these things happen at the airport, that would have given me the priority to obviously join them. But they were like new plainclothes attached to him. But I was able to I saw Kababajo, yes, around there, who sent me back to the State House to go and check what was going on there, which was very good of him for me to go there. So I just said, okay. Then I went back there, and I then went through the main gate, and then men were there and people were there. I heard that they said they've gone, the rebels, I'll call them, have gone through Denton Bridge, and they are walking towards the State House. So before I left the State House, I saw a group, including Yaya Jammeh. They all turned their bearers inside out. Lantombong was there, and with these guards were there. So most of them went to the gate, and Lantombong and Yaya Jammeh they first started speaking in English, and then after they swapped to Jola, they were talking in Jola. There was a big crowd of men. The streets of Banjul, people were like running. And I was in the State House. And then when I heard Lantombong saying that, look, we are all soldiers, so to avoid bloodshed, to avoid fighting them, guys, we should allow them in. The moment I heard that, then I started walking away before even the gates were open to them. I walked very fast and then towards the other gates. Yeah, but at that time, before I even when I heard about the coup, my wife's family lives in Banjul, in Grand Street. I had my kids. I had 2 kids then. They were very young. One was 4, the other one was 6. Then I asked my wife to leave to go to their house. So I make sure they walk across and then went home then.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I just want to clarify a few points before we move there. Now, what did you observe while you were at the State House? Can you please describe the situation at that time?
I observed that my men wanted an instruction to resist. They were not happy when they saw Yaya Jammeh. We had Musa Jammeh there, who was also part of us, who was also in support of what orders Lantombong gave out. And the men were not happy. We wanted to resist. And if there was to be a resistance, obviously, I would not have gone. I would have stayed there, but I didn't want to wait and to witness what was going on, because I know that was illegal. I know that Sir Dawda was a very good man, and he's a very good man. And then the Gambian people didn't deserve having someone or some soldiers coming to take over the State House illegally. That wasn't right, and I know that this is not right. So it's when I decided to just leave the State House. I left and just went on on my plan B. If this is the case, yes, as a soldier, I just always think, yeah, I just think that, well, I have to find a way, but I am not joining. It was the same time I made up my mind. I made my decision that I will not join these people. Then
Can you recall, sorry, can you recall who was the commander of the state guards at that time?
as I said, Lantombong was the senior officer, and he was the one there. But because of the orders hasn't resumed yet, that is, Dembanjai hasn't come to work yet, and Kababajo hasn't come. So it was under Lantombong Tamba's responsibility, because Kababajo has left with the president. You see, so obviously Dembanjai was left in UK. He was unwell. So obviously it was Lantombong Tampa's responsibility. Yeah. So it's when I was not gonna join these people. I was not gonna stay here. I decided to go back to the seaport to see what was happening. By the time I reached there, the vessel has already left the seaport. I saw it going.
I still want to dwell on the issue of what happened when Jammeh and others arrived at the State House. So before moving on to other issues, I'd like to deal with some of the things I have here. So how can you describe the men that came in to the State House? That is, the men that came with Jammeh.
Like I said, they didn't come in while I was there. Before, when Lantombong was trying to negotiate the situation with my colleagues, and he was the senior man there, is when I left. Is when I decided to leave. Then
Mr.
I left them there. Yes.
My question is, how can you describe, like, if you are to describe the men that came in with Yahya Jammeh, how would you describe them?
Because if you said the men that came in, then saying that when they came in the State House, but if you say the men who were at the gate, yes, I would say
please.
they look like
The men at the gate.
They look at the gate, outside the gate, before entering the State House. They were like rebels. It was a big group. They all turned their helmets inside out. You can't tell who is military police, who is at the army, or because camouflage is just camouflage, but on green uniforms are all the same. But it's the bearers where you can identify us. So they were all turned inside out. So they were all like, not scary, but I knew that if we insisted, they wouldn't have a choice. They wouldn't have a chance, because, and like I said, if the spirit we used to have when our former commander was there, if he was there at that time, he would have insisted, and he would have resisted, because he wasn't in good terms with Yahya Jammeh, that is Turo Jawne. And somebody I know that Yahya Jammeh respected and scared of was Turo Jawne, because you hardly see him laughing to his juniors. He believes in the service. So if he was there, I know the order would have been no. And Yahya Jammeh would not have come to negotiate that, definitely. And if Jawne was there, I would say that Sir Dawda would not have left the State House, that I know of. This is what hurts me inside. So sometimes when I start thinking, I said, is this plot part of removing that man from the State House? Was it part of the coup plot? I don't know how long or who, but I know that Yahya Jammeh cannot organize a coup because he didn't organize himself. He organized his friends at the barracks to come probably like the same they did before, like those from Liberia or wherever, when they came trying to negotiate or to see the president. Yahya Jammeh wasn't part of it, but he was a military police who came and he stabilized the situation, like telling them to calm down. They sat at the Makati Square, and 1 or 2 of them were allowed to come in the State House. So he cannot convince anyone to join a coup who is part of the gendarmerie. Yes. So
Okay. Aside from Yahya Jammeh, can you recall and identify if you've seen anyone familiar in the group?
Alaji Martin was there. Other men I don't know of. It was a big group, lot of people. So for my mind was thinking for more important things than recognizing faces. Yeah, but Segate was there, and the others I don't know them, but I know they were army officers because the gendarmerie I was able to tell who and who was there, but those from the commando units, because some of them were recruited whilst I was at the State House, some of whom I don't know. So I know only a few of the people I was able to recognize that I can remember now. So I was thinking of more other things than just recognizing faces, to be honest.
Can you recall if the men were armed? The men that were with Yahya Jammeh?
They were all armed. They were all armed, mostly with Kalashnikovs, with other arms that I've not seen before. Yes. So that was the situation. But I know that with our Kalashnikovs and the training we had, bullet is a bullet, no matter what. There is no designer bullet. Every bullet is a bullet. If it hits, it hits. If it has to kill, it'll kill. I mean, it kills. So obviously, we were all armed. So the guys at the State House were armed, and we had our armory there at the State House. If we had if we had put up resistance, it wouldn't have happened. If Sadauda hasn't left the State House, that would have not have happened. Yes.
How many men at that time were in the State House?
We have lots of our men because we had the full guard there. Probably, I'll say, well, at least 40. I don't want to just guess on that, but I know that you have the guards at the doing the guarding, the ones doing the building, the ones doing number 1 marina, the one doing the main gate, and the guarding, and a handful of us were there that would have put in resistance, and we got the gate as well, and we are in a better position to able to shoot and resist than the rebels.
What happened afterwards, after you sneaked out of the State House?
Well, I went to see my friend Alpha Diallo, who was the Otley, because when I left the State House, when I observed that the vessel has left, and from there I went to Picknard Street, where Alpha Diallo was, because I know that we came late at night, and Alpha, there is no way he would have returned that to the chief of protocol, the then chief of protocol, Ibundur, that he must have had our passports because that's what he does. Ibundur has joined the president to come home. So I just said, look, let me go to Alpha. He must have still got my passport. So when I went to him, I said, I met him at his house where his wife used to live. I said, Alpha, you still got the passports. I want my passport. I didn't say, do you have it? No, I said, I know you still got the passports. I want my passport. He said, for what? I said, I am not joining these people. I am not joining these rebels. I am not going to be tried for treason. I am not going to betray Sadauda. And I am not staying here. And then he said, so I said, yes. And then he had the briefcase. He opened the briefcase. I saw Sadauda's passport and with other passports there. Then I took mine and then put it in my pocket and told him that I'm not staying, I am going. And then he said to me, if you are going, because he likes me and he believes in me a lot because he was a good friend. And then he said, boy, if you are going, I think I will go. I said, okay. But he said he wasn't ready to go. I think his wife was expecting or anything like something like that. I'm not sure anyway. But he had a reason for not coming at that time. So then I informed him, in fact, that I was going. Last minute, I was leaving the following morning. I've told him that I was going. But I went to his house. And I met his wife, who's in England here. Who told me that, Alpha is not around. Then I said, please tell him that, in reference to what I said, that I was leaving, I'm going now. I've just come to see if he's ready to go, we can go. Because I wanted to go with someone, but
Mr. Ture,
he wasn't. Yes.
with respect to the 22nd July coup, did anything happen afterwards?
Well, I understood that, Yahya Jammeh took over the State House. Yeah, and that morning, I went back to my flat, at Battery's flat, to see what was going on, because I was able to see from my flat, I will clearly see the State House. I saw that the people at the gate were not my friends, were not the loyal soldiers to Saldauda. And then I said, well, it means that definitely they have taken over. And this was all in town and on the radio and all that. So I went in there, I've got my keys, my family were not there. So I had a rifle and a pistol or so. And then I went there and I left my weapons on the table and wrote a note, left it on my table there to say very nasty things, that these people are failures, they are rebels. I will never work for a rebel government, and they are doomed to fail, and they'll be charged for treason, and they should expect Sardauda to come back. Sardauda must return because they are not fit to run the country. And then this is what I left there. And then before I left, one Meta Sambu came, and Lantombong came in because they had my doors upstairs when I was about to close it. When I had them on the stairs, I looked around, I saw that was them. Lantombong came in my flat. Came at Sambu, one Lieutenant Sonko. His first name is Keba Sonko, who was also living there. So we are all in my flat, and then this Keba Sonko said that, well, I think that we still got a chance because our men are not taken out of the State House. They are still at the State House. We should put resistance to make sure that we kill Yahya Jammeh, Singate, and whoever is there amongst them. Then we can save the country. And from there is when I heard that they said Saldauda is gone to Senegal. I said, my God, okay. I said, yes, I think this is a good idea. We should do this. And then Lantombong said, no, we can't do that. It's going to cause bloodshed. We shouldn't do that. These people has already taken over. I said, look, the Gambia government has been here for many years. The Saldauda has been here for years. We can't just allow this to happen. It can't happen. Anyway, excuse me. So when this happened, then I wanted that to happen, but they seniored me, and I don't have much choice. Then Lantom Tamba said that, look, I've been given a responsibility. I'm in charge of the Fajara barracks, and everybody at the barracks is in for it. We are all in for it, and we should just accept this and join them. And I just kept quiet. Then this guy said, Sonko said, I don't think this is right, and we shouldn't allow this. He used the word idiot to be allowed to take over the army. They are rebels. We shouldn't allow this. Our men are still there. Lantombong said, no, we can't do that, and we shouldn't do that. Lantombong said, okay, I have to go now. And it's when I started getting very worried what was going to be his moves. He got 2 men downstairs. So the moment he started going down the stairs, everybody came out of my room. I shut my door and I find my way, because I thought he was going to instruct those men, because they were armed, to either arrest us or to do something to us, but he didn't, because he was my squad mate, and I know probably he wouldn't have the guts. That gave me the confidence also to talk the way I did after him being part of them. He was my squad mate.
Mr.
He
Ture,
did not. Yes.
can you please name the people that were present at this meeting?
I was there myself. Lantombon Tamba was there. Lieutenant Keba Sonko was there. We call him scientist. And Kemeta Sambu was there. It was 4 of us in there.
Why did you give Lieutenant Keba Sonko the name scientist?
Yes, he was somebody who is he's very good at what he does, and he was the only gendarme sent to Turkey to study explosives. He's in the United Kingdom here, but he came out with very, very good results in Turkey. He can make bombs, that guy. He can make explosives out of nothing. He knows the things to do, so what to get, and things like that. He was good at it. To be honest, he's proved himself to be good at what he does. So, that name, but I don't know who started calling him that, but I assume that because of his capability of what he does, that's where the name came from, but I don't know how, to be honest. But yes.
Did Lang Tombong at that meeting tell you who gave him the responsibility of Fajara Barracks?
It was Yaya Jammeh, because Yaya Jammeh already had the trust in him for allowing him to take over the Statehouse. Definitely, he got Yaya Jammeh's trust, I will call it, and then he trusted him with the responsibility of Fajara Barracks. And when he said that he had 2 men with a vehicle 4x4, when I looked over the window, that was true. The vehicle was downstairs. I saw 2 guards with him.
Do you know what happened to Keba Sonko and Kemete Sambo later on?
No, because Kemete Sambo haven't made any comment. But I commented, and when Keba Sonko said this, I made a comment and said, yes, we should do that. When Lantombon declined it. But whilst I was in Senegal, I understood that Lantombon, Keba Sonko was in prison. For whatever reason, people were doubting why, but I believe that he was reported for what he has said. So I still said, Alhamdulillah, thank Allah for giving me the sense and giving me the chance of living without joining them, because I should have been part of them. And when I heard that I was charged for treason for joining Sir Dauda, I knew that there were a lot of people who left and they were not charged for treason. So the reason why I was charged for treason, probably it was based on the fact that I make those comments. So when I added the dots, I knew that I was reported. Lantombong must have reported me or has, disclosed my comments to the council that I was definitely ready to fight against them, to join my colleagues to kill him. So this is how I was on exile, and I was in Senegal when I heard that he was in prison. But the men were not given a reason, but I knew that for fact that this is the reason, because there were other officers who, part of the presidential guards, none of them were arrested and sent to Mile 2. Why Keba Sonko?
So you mentioned that you were charged for treason. For treason. Treason, sorry. Were you at any point taken to court?
No, but I said, I was told that my name is on the list, that I should be killed or arrested when seen within the Gambia. So when that note was found in my house, in my flat, I heard that that was a very sad day for Jammeh. He kept on swearing, saying that if he should catch me, if he should get hold of me, he's gonna kill me. He's gonna set an example, on me for the not only for the words, but for what I have also said or planned against him. Yeah.
How did you get to Dhaka?
Which car?
Dhaka.
Dhaka,
Yes.
Senegal. I traveled by boat on that morning. There was a boat that was carrying because the rebels were trying to allow people to go on with their normal lives. The ferry was on, but because the ferry accommodated a lot of people, so I didn't have the trust to join the ferry. So, but there was a boat carrying some merchandise like drum of oils and goods and things like that. So I went and joined them to Bara, and then but because I didn't bring that part of my story that I was one at Nyomi, posted at the stations in Nyomi. I used to go to Nyomi when I was a student on holidays. So I know Samba Yasin, I know Nungukebe area. So I traveled there and then go through a place called Hurbi, just between Samba Yasin and Kersenigay. Through there, I then traveled to the border and then pick a car in Senegal at Karang, and then to Dhaka, to Senegal. I joined these passenger vehicles, this set plus, and then whilst in Dhaka, I reported to the State House there through a camp I first went to, and then they took me to the State House because I had my passport with me, and then I had photographs, a group photographs of myself and my colleagues too, with my identity card also as to confirm that I am a soldier. Then I was taken to the State House, and who then sent me to a building opposite the State House building. I mean the Senegalese State House, and that building is called Etat Major. I mean, probably I think is where the Chief of Defense Staff of Dhaka. I mean, that's where his office was.
Did
And
you
at this,
eventually meet with President Jawara while in Dhaka?
yes, this is the process I'm telling you now. How I got to meet him. So they didn't just take me there. So they didn't just took me there. What happened was, I went for an interview with the Senegalese authorities at that building. They start asking me about what went on in the Gambia because they didn't have much information. They did a bit, but not much. And then I explained to them what happened. And still yet, for the trust I had, and that makes me still believe that, as I said, if that Turo Jawne was there, they did ask, Hana Jawne Nekutfa. I said, Turo Jawne is not there anymore. They say, oh la la, oh la la. And then this was like a regret, pointed out that that was an error, security error, because, well, they know, they've trained him. So anyway, so I said no. They asked who was there. I've told them, and I mentioned Lang Tombong, and then I saw them a group picture of Lang Tombong. I saw them a picture of Yaya Jammeh, a group photo of them, and they said this guy should have been dismissed years ago. Ki rebel, this man is a rebel, and this guy, he's the only guy I know. They according to them, they said they knew that would have caused this, because he should have been dismissed years ago, which tells me that if the Confederation was still on, Yahya Jammeh would not have survived the period of time he survived in the army. He would have been dismissed, definitely. Probably they've been looking for reasons to do that, but the Confederation happens. So then they contacted, Sir Dauda, who was at Residence Medina. Then I didn't know where he was. So, I mean, they mentioned my name and they took my passport, and then I waited whilst they were interviewing me. I assumed that they've contacted him either by going there or they contacted the one General Tabal, who was in charge of his security, and the green light was given that I should join Sadauda. So I was ordered to the
Okay,
State House.
I'm sorry for cutting you, Mr. Ture, but we have 5 minutes to break. So I would like at this point to ask Mr. Chairman if the commissioners have any questions for the witness. That is before we go for the break.
Thank you very much, Council. Return to the commissioners. Do you have any questions to ask before we take the 1 hour lunch break? If you would want to wait towards the end of Mr. Toure's testimony to pose some questions, we can also do that. I see heads nodding, and that means we don't have any questions now. Mr. Toure, thank you so much. Sorry we kept you much longer than we normally would do the 90 minutes, but the system was working so well. I had indicated to them that actually we should go on and on and on until, but I think we would wait. If you don't mind, after the 1 hour break, we will come back and resume the proceedings. Is that all right
You're
with
welcome.
you?
For the Gambia, anything I will do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. With that, the meeting is adjourned for 1 hour, and we come back at 2:15. Thank you.
Thank you.